And welcome back as we get ready to jump into our third and final map of the day in the series between Version 1 and BBG, both teams fighting for their tournament hopes. And obviously, they all want the same thing, a shot at a chance to play in Iceland at the NA Masters. My name is Bach. Joining me on the broadcast is Vansili. Map 2 goes the way of Version 1, albeit barely. It looked very good for them at first. They pick up that 8-4, and then BBG switches to the other side, and everything gets thrown out off kilter. They lose the first 3 rounds. They go down 11-4. Then they go up 12-11. There was a very real chance that they closed out that series 13-11 and ended the series in a 2-0, eliminating Version 1.
And that's why on my end, and sorry if I sounded like a broken record on that last map, was like, they need to find a way to shut down Rarkar. They need to find a way to stop those pushes into that C side, and they finally did, right? And it took them a lot of rounds for them, speaking about Version 1, to finally adapt and reassess how those rounds came down, how they were losing at the defender side. And you saw how strong it came about when they got into that overtime for Version 1, when they had the rifles in hand, of how aggressive they were towards that mid side. That paid off for them. So a good way to adapt, not too late, because they still got the round, they still got the map in the series, and now we see this third map where it's gonna be a nice one. Because when I look back of trying to look how these two teams played on Split, there was actually no footage for these two teams. They played it maybe twice for BBG. They were 50% out 1-1, and then even Version 1 I think barely even played it, except for today. Version 1 played it versus Envy, and against all odds too, in my opinion, versus Envy, one of the teams that are the strongest on Split right now. Yeah. We were still able to get a victory for Version 1, and it was still pretty one-sided, right? I think it was like a 13-6 scoreline at that point versus Envy.
It'll be interesting to see what they can do here on Split. They do get to start on the defense, so Version 1 wins the previous map, and now they get that little extra bonus of starting on the defensive side of Split. So with that said, are we writing off BBG here? I remember watching the old BBG roster be somewhat fun to watch on this Split map. I remember watching Rob Wiz fly in with the Jet Stinger combo, looking really strong. This was back when like Jet Shoddy was still pretty
very good.
And a lot of teams were doing it. He was one of the first players that I saw utilize the Stinger to its full effective level, and it worked out really well for them, picking up a few big upsets during, I believe that was during First Strike. That's going back a bit when Rob Wiz was playing that. But, you know, obviously different roster now. We no longer have Foe in the mix. We no longer have Rob Wiz. Things have changed quite a bit for this roster.
A lot.
So, yeah, this is not the same team. I'm curious to see what we're going to get from them on Split.
Yeah, because I'm even thinking about, like, if we're looking at Rob Wiz, the way he was talking, or the way he was playing for that team before, and how the roster was different, even back then when they were good with those Stingers and whatnot, before they were picked up by BBG, that whole roster has changed, right? You're looking at Nick, you're looking at TLO, like, all those guys are unfortunately or not playing anymore or in different teams. And this time we'll see how it's going to pan out. We're going to get into the game so far where things have changed a little bit in terms of BBG on how they wanted to play the Split. Don't know if it's going to change this time because, again, with the 50% win rate, you want to know if you've reassessed or try to change things out a bit. Because I did remember seeing Bjor playing a Killjoy into this map, and he will. Rarkar is going to go into that Sky, so nothing's changed here. Except for the fact that if it's the first time you're watching BBG play on this map on Split, then yes, the agents have changed. But from when they played into the qualifier until now, it's been the same. So Rarkar, not being a nuisance right now as a Jet, could definitely be one as a Sky.
Sky play. That'll be interesting. You've got Sky, you've got Sage, and you've got Killjoy. And even though Sky isn't technically a Sentinel, it kind of feels like it plays like one, kind of, like a little bit. I don't know. It's a weird mix of the way that Sky plays. Because obviously you have those flashes, so there's some engagement level, but at the same point in time, it's just, it kind of slides between various roles because of the utility from the heal that you get. And obviously, like, the ult is not exactly the most effective at really, like, dealing damage or potentially
feel
opening up avenues.
You could say the same thing about Astra at that point too, right? Because Astra could be one of those controllers that's just going to throw so many stars on the ground and could still anchor towards a site and just slow things down too on whether it's the attack or defense. But again, in this lineup for both of these teams, that Astra is not going to be in that same lineup. So is it going to be pretty much the same old ways that we want to play the split map, especially now that you see a Sage on both critical and on Effie's? But we're going to find out right away because we're live in this pistol. We have BBG on the attacker side, and everybody's pushing down towards that rope. We forced the wall early to pick up an orb as well for version 1, but with this mid control, still not much more gain because we're looking to play much more passively for version 1.
There's the fly-in. They were spotted by the cam, but the back-and-forth battle, that's success for BBG. They've gained site access, and now the retake can commence. The turret taken care of pretty quickly. Penny's already made it out of spawn. They weren't anticipating this position, so Penny's actually snuck out all the way towards the other side of Pillar. It's going to come down to Fjord to kind of shut that one down. Penny, though, with the quick shots, puts the smoke on the spike. Probably going to take it to halfway and then back off. Oof. But the frenzy is just too strong. Fjord with a big play here in the pistol, finding 3 kills for BBG. And they will go up 1-0 on the attacking side of Split. That's a pistol round you really want to win, because it might be one of the few rounds you win on Split, even though the map has side it's been balanced more towards with all the recent patches and changes. It still skews towards defense. How heavily, that's obviously up for debate.
I mean, when you're looking at the compositioning you have to, right, to be able to get that Sage wall into your composition is going to be very strong too, especially on pistol round. So the way that they've just pushed as a team to get in there was just perfect for BBG to get that round. It did come down to a 1 versus 1 though, so still pretty close. But into this round, you saw that boom bot, so that forces the Jet to dash away early, and that was Penny. You had a couple of sheriffs, and now spamming through the smoke, we're trying to get a little bit more map control and try to surprise BBG. That's not paying off, and you're just trying to funnel everybody back towards this mid-side mail where you have Vanity once again holding with that Bucky.
Quieted down. The spike is down over towards Ramen. You've got players currently considering going towards B. There's no one currently playing B-side defense. So the big thing right now for version 1 is this stack towards A, and it could work out for them quite nicely. Sage likely to fall here as Effie's goes around the corner. Takes Will a little bit longer than maybe one would anticipate, but there's the heal coming through. They've got double heal potential, mind you.
Yep.
So there is a lot of survivability right now for this BBG roster that can get real interesting depending on where you're at in a round. Penny's on site, trying to just pivot back and forth from elbow, but can't survive long enough. And this is a scenario we've seen play out several times already. Vanity alone in a 1vx with the Bucky, and not really in a position to do anything about it.
And it's good enough for BBG. You saw that guiding light coming in from Rockheart into a heaven. It spots him. It's going to call it out. They know he's already rotated over. And they know potentially Vanity is going to play with this Bucky, so they don't want to chase after him. They're playing against this inside the side again, just like they did on Bind. So very good and well done for BBG. It's just where they're going to decide to go for the exit. And potentially it's heading towards where Vanity is currently posted up. Thankfully, it's 4 players, so if they lose one, at least they could trade it out. But never mind. That's 1 and 2. That spike is going to go off fairly soon, and they're even escaping on the other end for right now BBG. So 2 unanswered rounds now for the attacker side, and they'll save these weapons for the bonus.
Here's where the rubber meets the road, though. If you're BBG, you gotta keep winning them at this point. I mean, this round itself could be huge. I mean, Vanity doing great damage there with the shotgun. So it won't be a bonus round coming in here so much. But what is this? Will, despite having money, is on a Bucky. Critical's on a Sheriff.
They're doing bonus no matter what. So you're going to half buy pretty much at this point so you can buy into the next round. So I see this a lot in rank 2. So it's good, a good way to control your economy. You have Rarkar that is going to go for pretty much a full buy, but it's also Rarkar, right? So he could do a lot of damage here with the Phantom that he purchased.
Vanity with the pickoff on Pure early on. That's the Bulldog. Striking first with its vicious bite. Critical really wants to find a kill here to get that res back. Critical has to be careful as the swing comes through. It actually backfires. There's the fly-in from Will. We actually lost track of Will. He disappeared. They needed Doppler radar to figure out where he had gone to. Rarkar is the only one left. The flash doesn't actually get around the corner. It looked like it's got stuck on the wall. But Spike is still very much in possession of version 1 as Rarkar gets closer and closer. It's Penny on the flank to actually get that kill. Vanity was buying time from that position. The first round goes on the board for Vanity and his team over on version 1. You can see, though, the money is just weird. Like, Rarkar's only got 2,400, so Rarkar is going to be on an awkward buy here with just a Sheriff. So even though they tried to still go into that one with a bonus, it felt like they approached it kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, it was just Rarkar with that purchase, right? I think they felt confident how they were going to play the attacker side and that he could do something. Like, technically, you saw the way how he played that B side. He actually got 2 kills of his own with that Phantom. So if his teammate actually got a little bit more with that bonus, with the way that they played aggressively towards that B side, we would have seen a different story. But it's better for version 1 from the way that they played it, the spacing that they had between Zelsis and I think it was Vanity, right? Towards that side of B main to get those kills were definitely well done there on their end to actually get those early 3 kills, including paint shells, and just crumble down that strategy for BBG on the attack. So now it's still going to be a rifle round, with the exception of Rarkar, but at least he's got the Seekers to help out if they want to try to explode into any of these sites.
Zelsis currently jiggling, has the nade. There's the paint shells going out. Does bounce kind of out of the position one would hope it would. And he takes some damage as he attempts to go for that too. So he's down on 70 HP, tries to use the blast from the paint shells to kind of go for a peek. But it did cost him a bit of damage in HP. The push is going over towards the A site though, where player 1 has a cam position. He's playing elbow. There's the Seekers coming out. That will be Rarkar's ult, spotting out the positions of players on site. Version 1 unafraid of those Seekers, and they remain in the positions on site. Great damage coming out, though, all of a sudden. BBG's in a really great spot, but they've got to stick the spike. Poach just barely gets around the corner, but it's a 1v2, and they don't realize that Penny is here, and he stops the spike from being planted, and then tailwinds away. A great move coming out from Penny. That's a huge round 1. I was starting to get worried because Poach was kind of hanging out just a little bit too far on that edge as he went for the fast plant. He wanted to get it down. He almost got caught out. He was going and taking the fight with the player towards screens. And had he died there, that would have been the round lost there as well, because there was about 8 seconds left when he finally realized, oh, I got the spike. I got to get on site.
So you gotta hold that alt shift or whatever key you use to try to get that plant down right away. And because of that, he was exposed. So you got to thank your stars for Penny's side to be able to get that kill and dash away too. Thankfully, he kept it there. But it was still a great execution for BBG. The Seekers got enough. Yes, they were able to hold down for quite a while for version 1. But Rarkar picked up a rifle and just went all out with Critical at the same time. So very well done for BBG to keep the round close. But again, Penny saves that round for version 1. And into this round here, you're going to see Rarkar and company on this half buy, because you saved that Vandal for that previous round. It results in a kill that's perfect into mid side, and the rest are going to be on pistols to try to move forward.
Boombot goes out. Counter paint shells coming in from the attacking side raise. That pulls them out of position of mail room. And that allows massive mid control currently for BBG. The problem is, what do you do with it? You've only got pistols, except you've scooped up the rifle onto Will. Remember, Rarkar brought his in from the previous round. Effie's has to go big from this position. The wall comes in at the worst possible time. Will we finally get to see what Vanity can do with the shotgun? No, not going to be today. We've seen him buy it so many times, and we're just waiting for that one opportunity where they finally go in his direction, and when they do, the fight, there's just too much distance and too many targets. The B site's lost. It's looking like a promising round here for BBG as it's a 5-on-2 off the back of strong early round mid control.
It's like one of those moments where as a crowd you're like, oh, and then no kills there. And finally we just want that to come out for Vanity so we can turn the page and then turn a new leaf and really focus on the rest of this game. But you were asking what did they have right now for BBG to try to get this attack? Well, you saw it. They still had utility, right? Despite them only having pistols. So they had the wall, they had the paranoia to get the whole site control as well. Zelsis is going to let one pass because he only sees a pistol. He just wants to make sure that he doesn't allow these rifles to get saved, and that's one down. But the other ones are being picked up from the rest of the site. So even though Poach ran through with pistols, picked it up towards mid-sun, and that's it. So we're going to have the round coming in for BBG. And 3 rifles moving into the next. So a perfect round on what I would call a thrifty at this point for the attackers.
Technically a thrifty. I don't think it gave them credit for it because Rarkar had the rifle, but that was brought in from the previous round. The rest of the team was on just pistols and armor, and they converted off an early kill, got a second rifle in the mix, and made it work. And they wander away with a few rifles. 3 players survive, 3 rifles make it out of the round as Poach got one just before the round expired. That's about as successful a round as you can hope for when you're coming in with a round like that. They throw the wall down early as Effie's wanted to go for orb control and guarantee that the res would be available, but it's not going to happen. You did hear the knives come out from Penny, who's currently up in heaven. That's currently the only ult available for the defense, whereas the opposite side, you've got res, showstopper, and you've got that Killjoy lockdown, which they may very well use to try and go for a push over on this A site. But Effie says, you know, you didn't give me the orb. I'm just gonna go for the peek. Oh, nice updraft coming in from Penny. Updraft plus Bladestorm, knowing that the res came through. And Will, he lives, he dies. He lives and he dies again.
And no ult. So you got to thank Penny again for that one. So I think the updraft, the left click works out. He's the only one that doesn't have a weapon into the round, gets that kill, recharges his Bladestorm as well. So this is now going to put the rest of BBG trying to look for some map control. It was a great lurk to start things off between Bjor and Poach, but it turns into a trade still. There's still one player playing close, and that's going to be Vanity. They just want to take the stairs control too. They're okay with giving them the round away or the site away for the B side and play the retake with this res.
Paranoia comes through. That allows his teammates to get past that smoke towards stairs. Poach puts a fresh smoke down on spawn. And there's the slow orb as well to make the escape even more awkward. Poach goes for the port across, and the spike will be planted. It's a 5-on-3, but at least decent positions for the remaining members here. And Rarkar does have the ult, so the Seeker is going to come out. They're going to try and flush out the positions of these players. Again, you've still got Penny with this ult that you got to be careful of. There's a fresh smoke coming out towards spawn. Rarkar with the quick shots. And some more on the follow-ups as well. Into the ankles at first, but then the dig shot actually sends his crosshair up higher. It's now down to a 1-on-2. Make it a 1-on-1. Zelsis with a nade around the corner. Couldn't have timed it more perfectly. And he should have time for the defuse as well. Not really much could have been done there for Poach outside of just a peek. And I'm not sure why you didn't see it. He heard the nade come in. He knew he was low on HP. But you don't get that peek from Poach.
Yeah, I think at that point, too, it was one of those moments, is he going to tap and get off it, too? So I just want to push him towards myself. Knowing that I'm low on HP, I could still potentially lose that fight right away. Maybe he was hoping for that timing. But at the same time, I was going to say, like, this is still going to be very difficult for BBG to actually win that post plant because they had the Seekers out, but like you said, Buck, it was a 5-on-3, so 3 Seekers going to go out. Yeah, a couple are going to head towards heaven or whatnot, but those are their usual spots where version 1 or anybody on a retake is going to be coming from spawn, from heaven, so you don't know exactly how many players are still there because you still have 5 guys going after you. But suddenly 3 guys from BBG just dropped 3 players instantaneously for version 1, allowing this 2 versus 2 to happen, which made it very close actually in the end. So version 1 winning it by the skin of their teeth for another round here. And we'll see if they can continue on with that moving forward. Thankfully now, knowing how it's been back and forth with all of these trades, this 4 spy that you have coming out from BBG, and also, of course, the Spectre coming out from player 1, you want to know if this works out.
Well,
it does.
The ult gets popped, and so does the ult from Raze on the other side. So they do send that rocket into B main. It doesn't stop the Killjoy ult, but it does take one player out of the equation. It's Will, who still has his ult sitting on standby. So yeah, there you go. the site will be lost. It's a 4-on-4 as the spike goes down. Nice flash coming through as the guiding light comes through that smoke. Poach in a pivotal position for BBG. And that's the first kill that he desperately needed to find onto Penny. The other players actually haven't even made it out yet, as they're kind of stuck dealing with this other player up in mailroom. Or, excuse me, they were thinking there was another player up towards mailroom and mid. And I'm not really sure what's going on with that mid player now as they back off. It's looking like we're going to see a save here. But there was players that were kind of like, they were not really paying much attention to the site. Felt like they were paying more attention to mid. And never really put their foot in on the retake. They were kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, those
BBG
Seekers
takes the site and takes the round. Yeah, the Seekers keep coming out, and I'm like, it's an ult to me that I still question. Like, I don't look at it as extremely valuable, just because of how easy it is to kill the Seekers. But I guess in the right scenario, there is at least some value. I remember early on watching Sentinels play on Icebox. They put Sick on Sky. Yeah. And he would have the ult all the time. Like, it felt like he constantly had the ult. It's only 6 points. It's easy to charge. But it compared to other ults, it feels like it is a little bit on the lighter side.
Yeah, at this point, though, I mean, some other teams like TSM, you run right behind the Seekers and you rush for these kills, and some teams are doing it. But in this case, right now for BBG, it's just trying to waste the clock down, right? If you see a couple of guys shooting, maybe you swing on that one too, knowing that it's coming from Heaven's side. Wasting that clock down allows for them to get the round 2. Yes, 2 players of version 1 are able to save their weapons, but it was still very low weapons going in. Oh, dashing away here from the Showstopper, but still goes head-to-head against Poach. So that's Penny to fall, and BBG trying to get into this A site.
Give a penny, take a penny. You see the ult come out from Will finally that he's had for several rounds, and he's got a target right in front of him. He's probably salivating at the opportunity to just sink a rocket straight into his meaty flesh, and instead, Penny just dashes away and totally negates that. It's still a kill that comes through, though, as he dashes straight in to the attacking side, kind of runs right into the belly of the beast. The remaining members of version 1 don't exactly have the greatest hardware. You got Bjor around the corner, too. It should be a pretty kill here on the first one. The second one, not that much more difficult. Effie's does have at least a Phantom. It might be set up to find an exit here, but good luck holding on to it as there's players waiting around the corner. This is a good attacking half thus far from BBG.
Very good, very good. And those hits that they were taking towards this B side seems to work out too. Even if they lose it, they're also able to chip down the economy versus version 1, which allows for them in these moments to face against a lower buy against version 1, where unfortunately these half buys are not paying off throughout the whole series for this team so far. So it's a good way for BBG to get that 1 or 2 round advantage. But version 1 are still doing a great job on the comeback when they get their money right too. And this is going to be one of those rounds again. I mean, Effie's, yes, he died. He only has a Spectre. But utility is going to be good enough to slow some opponents down so that his teammates with the rifles supporting him on 3 players on Heaven B side can try to fight back here. That's so annoying. Pain shells to be thrown, and at the same time, you also have the regrowth coming out from Rarkar, so that means the pain shells have been denied pretty much at that point. But Penny still in a great position towards vents. Gonna get smoked out. Still trying to see if he can hear something. He does hear the paint shells, so it might be a timing where he can get the backstab, especially off that paranoia that comes out. And there's that swing. He does get 2 for himself, but that is going to be a couple of trade-offs and just a great hold from Zelsis so far to make it a 3 versus 1. The spike is down. Poach is going to try to clutch it here. He does have from the shadows, so he could still run up here and try to get that spike. But because he used that paranoia at the beginning of the round, he doesn't have much in terms of trying to clear. So it's going to have to be body peeks and see if he could actually win those individual fights if version 1 are making mistakes on individual peaks.
Poach coming in through the mailroom. That smoke goes down, and now they're going to try and play around it. Grabs the spike from distance, uses those long, stretchy arms, and now he's going to try and get over towards this A site. Good luck. You've got a player already holding it down. Does he actually have time with the ports? I don't know. It's going to be close. He actually taps it and just wants to take the fight. Player 1 was right there. And even if player 1 doesn't get the kill, you've got Sage in the mix as well. Effie's, I think, was coming through from Heaven. There really just wasn't a chance.
Yeah.
So It was a good and valiant effort to try to get to that site, but they were just too ready for it. And version 1 does grab the round. BBG still in the lead by 1. And again, we mentioned this. This is a good half for the attacking side. Even if they lost out from here, this would be solid for them. Now, one of the things we talked about coming into this map was Rarkar playing Sky, and kind of an interesting choice. Also, how's it going to impact his performance, as he was playing Jet across the last 2 maps? Doesn't seem to be hurting him. If anything, maybe helping him a little bit. Currently in top position, looking pretty consistent with those flashes. Guiding Light is just so incredibly strong.
His utility usage is really good right now. To allow Will to get into these spacings, to get these controls of the site is just Will right now, that you want him to like land those opportunities with that showstopper or try to get a little bit more with these rifles. But because they're working with this single duelist and they know they could try to shut down Will first, they've been doing a great job for version 1 to be able to contain him so far. To not allow BBG to get these rounds so easily, it's been very back and forth on these executions. With the rest that are coming in for the trades after Will dies. So much utility. That paranoia and the guiding light. One-way cages, though, Bjor actually spots him and takes him down, so that's an open A site.
They're going to go ahead and get that spike planted in the back corner of sight. The wall's going to come down as well, making a retake that much harder for them. Penny 1 kill away from the ult, not going to get it here. Gets clock clean by Bjor, who goes for the wide swing. Nice nade right on top of Critical's head. There's the rocket coming in, but it's a delayed detonation. But it's still looking promising. It's down to Critical and Critical alone, who's still playing off the top side of the wall and can back down off the top of that one. Vanity is waiting. Now, what's interesting is the wall was present. He had a res. There's not really anyone nearby, so there's not anything that he could have done with it. You know, maybe he plays to the other side of the wall and can try and move around just a bit, but that spike is planted in such an awkward spot for a play like that. Really just has to go for the face battle against Vanity. Drops off the wall, tries to do what he can, but
it was also
around going to version 1.
It was also thanks to the utility that Celsius was using, though, right? Because the paint shells forced one of the players to get away from him, and also the showstopper forced both of them to split off pretty much. Keep Critical on his wall, get his opponent out towards screen, so you spread out the damage that could happen with the showstopper, so it makes it a lot more difficult for him to get that res up a little bit later. He had great ideas with how he played the wall, but after his position's given away, it's good enough. And now Penny continues to be a nuisance right now for BBG, so he's starting to step up a little bit here on this first half, and we're starting to see his name come out more, where, you know, it's been Rarkar that's been annoying every single time playing as that Jet, but this time Penny as that Jet is doing well for version 1.
Cover going out.
Effie's wall getting chiseled away in mid. There's no presence currently on A from BBG, and they're starting to kind of realize, like, oh god, we didn't really put any effort towards A. It's because they're going for the dedicated B play off the back of this Killjoy ult. So they're going to dedicate themselves to it. There's the ult being utilized by their Omen to put them in position. Penny has to be careful. Penny not going to get away, potentially? No, Penny did get away, so Penny does dodge it just barely, but missed shots coming in. Celsius is still on site and still trying to delay them with the blast packs. Vanity even it looked like taking some shots at his own teammates for a second, as there was just confusion on the site, but it's okay. Version 1 able to survive. That take into B was just too telegraphed, one would say. And that's ultimately the problem with that lockdown ult. It did feel a bit vanilla coming in from BBG. I love when teams use lockdown, but then, you know, go the other direction. Especially when you hear that ult come through from Omen. So you hear Vanity pull his ult, you assume he's already in position, ready. And there's so many gaps on that ult, too. Like, back B is open. You can still play towards the stairs in heaven a little bit. So it's not like it really gives you that much. If you have to take a fight with someone backside, if they can delay you long enough, like you saw from Celsius with the nades and the blast backs, it makes things so incredibly uncomfortable.
Penny again with another first blood. It's just great combos right now from version 1 and how they're playing their defense. Like that previous round, they actually had one-way smokes from Vanity into B main. As we look at Split on North America and how it's played recently, it's just like, hey, Sage Wall towards B side, Frost Orb with Raze, just try to contain them down towards that B side, kind of like Sentinels did and coined it. But this time they're using Sage towards the A side. They're having these one-way smokes towards B, and with the one-way smoke, Zelsis is playing in the back of the site, could spot under the feet, could throw the boom bot, could throw the nades, could slow things down. And into this round, they're switching things up. When they put that wall up on B side, they actually posted the jet operator on the top of Billboard. So that's another move that BBG didn't see coming and allows version 1 to get first blood once again. A numbers advantage, and as they're rushing into the A site, this is where they're getting completely shut down most of the times on the initial fights.
Spike down.
Ult coming in from Will. Works out and takes Vanity out of the equation. There's Poach as well, chiming in with his own handiwork. Now the wall is going to come out, and that will allow them to at least get the spike planted. But Penny is there, ready to slice Will to pieces. Slow orb coming out. The Cypher Hat's going to give away position. Oh, that's the worst possible time for that to happen. He's like, please let me get out of this ice. He's trying so hard to escape it, but it doesn't work out so well. We mentioned it, even if version 1 closed out the half and BBG ended at 7-5, that's not bad. 5 rounds on the attacking side on Split is more than manageable.
Definitely. I would like to say at this point, they're just taking their time to defuse so they could talk about their pistol round into the next half. And also because they're feeling very confident with the way things looked in their favor towards the end of this first half. So well done at that point. It also felt, like you said, when Critical was trying to run away after that plant, he was stuck there or just like on skates, just sliding into like nowhere, and unfortunately got picked off by Penny in the end. So version 1, in the end, had a pretty decent defender side here for the first half of Split. What happens now on the attack? What kind of attack can we see from version 1 come out? Can they actually seal the deal? Or can it be, once again, BBG, once they switch sides, are going to take the upper hand and we see another map into overtime? But what did I say, Bach, at the beginning of this series? It was going to be close, it was going to go 3 maps, and it was going to be a more even matchup for these two teams, and we're definitely seeing it so far.
What do you think you are, some kind of analyst?
Sometimes. It's just my predictions that are terrible.
Yeah, hold on. Let's be real. Your predictions for Masters were probably the worst of everyone.
Listen, I'm going off my gut feeling and also stats, and sometimes the stats aren't enough. Sometimes it's not about the math, it's about who shows up for these games. And so far, both of these teams are showing up between BBG and version 1.
One thing I've learned over the years is that my gut has a tendency to know better than the stats. Sometimes I just feel like stats, they just deceive you.
Yep.
But your gut never lies. And unfortunately, my gut's been doing a lot of truth-telling throughout COVID. It's gotten very low. There's the drop into the ropes, but it's a bloodbath in the ropes, no less. As the pistol round mostly takes place in that one territory. Now the spike's been dropped. Pure is in position to potentially stop this, but oh god, that's awkward. Not much can be done there as they just fly into that spot. Version 1 win the pistol, and that's scary territory right now if you're BBG, because again, 2 of the 5 rounds, excuse me, that you won in that first half were the pistol round and the round that followed. You don't want to allow the same thing for version 1, because it basically just negates that pistol round.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that I just love watching from teams so far, where the communication right now, I talked about it on Haven when they're pushing simultaneously through a smoke and then trying to get the crosshair off their opponents. What they did there towards that rope was just beautiful to watch there for version 1. I'm just trying to look back into this series to see like how many pistol rounds did we actually see BBG actually win, and it hasn't been that much. I think it's at least maybe maximum 1 or 2. So things have been looking really good for version 1 off these pistol rounds.
Shotgun time yet again. Seen a lot of shotgun, and if I'm being honest, I feel like we've seen a lot of low-impact kills with the shotgun. I feel like we haven't seen those, like, oh
nothing.
My god,
yeah, like nothing.
Insane rounds. Like
the only ones he's gone are like exits on A side, and that's
yeah.
it. So, you know what? I'm happy, because that means now this is the last time we're pretty much going to see it this week, and then it's just like, forget it. right? Maybe
Yeah.
right clicks could still be good against ecos because it does do that 100 damage, but outside of that, you got to be well positioned on rounds where you want to run the Bucky, even left click against your opponents, because again, right clicks, 5 pellets, maximum 100 damage that you could do on a right click. It's not going to be as strong when even into maybe an anti-eco, your opponents have small shields, right? Small shields and classic could still survive that right click Bucky.
Zelsis, top of the scoreboard. Not entirely surprised. 17 and 11, 49-16 combat score currently. That is heaps of damage coming out from Zelsis. What he's been doing all series long. There's a big fat paranoia, but Poach goes into a cyber cage and never gets out.
Yeah, you're walking into a trap at that point.
Yeah.
The audio is good enough there for them to spray, get that kill, and even at the same time, Critical got spotted inside that A site, got picked off. It's going to be an easy plant. You're looking at 10 so far here for a version 1, especially you see on that round. We had a Bulldog being purchased. We had a pretty hefty gun round coming in here for the defenders. As they're still trying to go for it a bit, they're pretty much caught now. We're going to chase after them for version 1.
Well, they get that kill, which is pivotal on them escaping, and you saw it for a second. They're like, oh, maybe we want to go for it. Not today. Vanity going to get some impact here with the Bucky. We were talking about how it felt like the Bucky hasn't had that much impact, and sure,
Exits.
still technically exits, but he prevents the save. So there's still heavy impact there in that round. It's not like they are useless. They're not stat pads. They're not like lost kills.
Of course.
Look at the buy coming in the next round here from BBG. They too are going to be rocking the shotgun, whereas Vanity got himself a nice little upgrade to a rifle.
So we got a couple of rifles, 3 Buckies. We're going to try to work things back for BBG on the defender side, trying to make Vanity have a little taste of his own medicine. And from the way that it's positioned, you really want to try to take this mid control here for BBG. It's playing close towards male. You're trying to use Poach to get an information early. But in the end, for version 1, it's once again player 1. They're going to try to play off his utility to just get this map control on A side. But that's where Rarkar is. Doesn't pay off.
He's trying desperately, too, to outrun the boombot, which was chasing him down. He could hear it on his heels. But he does manage to escape, find safety in the mailroom. There's an early shotgun kill coming out. Does he actually get anything out of it? Because he gets the kill, but he does not pick up the rifle, so there will be a stranded weapon in mid. You can see the distance between him and the gun is pretty far, and Vanity is making sure there's no way he's going to be able to get back to that one. Now, I love this play. The ult over into the site to get some intel cancels. They're going to be going into B.
I don't know if they
I don't know what they
spotted.
saw.
I don't think they saw Bjor. So they saw Critical. Critical stopped the ult, but Bjor is in a great position right now. There you go.
Oh, and that smoke.
Down B.
The smoke that came in from Jet from Penny actually ended up backfiring as it didn't give him vision of him, so he couldn't turn around in time to get that pickup. Penny with a nice shot at least onto another, and now we're starting to see the shotgun and its incredible potency. The stick on the spike does get canceled as he realizes there's targets nearby. Oh my gosh, almost had a chance. Poach came through, but didn't get close enough for Vanity to spot him before the round ended. It's a 6th round for BBG. If Poach stayed up top, that got really scary. With him
100%.
dropping, he hides behind the smoke, and it's still very difficult. We're talking 1 second to get that kill onto Poach. Vanity would have had to have been laser precise.
And thankfully, he wasted a lot of, or used a lot of his bullets rather to get Will down to have less to try to fight against Poach to continue to spray through that smoke. So this time the luck finally comes into favor of BBG, and even at that point, again, great positioning from Bjor and great job for Critical to cancel that ult right away to allow BBG to get that round. And the luck is not going to continue that way, though. Great Frost Orb into a spray through the smoke, catching Bjor this time, and that's utility down on A side. Oh boy, Penny with another one. This is huge. Penny dashed all the way towards screens to get those 3 kills, and that's one of those rounds where we're talking about how Rarkar was able to do it on Haven. So very well done for version 1 to really take the reins now of this 3rd map so far.
Version 1 looking good on the attacking side. BBG is running out of space because version 1 just keeps winning round after round, getting closer and closer to that closing point. Penny's going to cap off the 4K, surviving with 33 HP. And the next round should be solid for them as well because the buy coming in from BBG is not good. Now, they do have 4 ults currently, and they could try to go for orb control to get that 5th if they really wanted to for Rarkar. But I'm kind of figuring out like which one's going to have the most value here. It's going to be Will's ult, that showstopper. They need Will to really get a high impact showstopper ult, which he has struggled to find on this map. You can see actually even his stat line currently sitting at the bottom of the scoreboard right now. Lockdown could have value in a post-plant scenario, but with the way that the map plays out, I feel like Lockdown is maybe not as useful on the defensive side as it can be on the attack, just because of the way the map breaks down.
You see where he's positioned too for Will. So he doesn't want to be in an angle where, hey, I'm going to try to go very aggressively to try to get a showstopper kill. It's like, let's try to work that utility that we have set up towards the A side and then try to run it after once they get into the site potentially. But the thing is, for version 1, they've conditioned BBG that they're always working towards this A side. This time it's only player 1 on that A ramp. The rest of them are working up towards this B heaven where Rarkar's in such a tough position. He only has a sheriff. He got paranoid. He's got a couple of guiding lights to try to slow down if he can. But for the rest, they're just holding things up. I like it. They actually they went from the shadows into B, and that's going to slow down version 1 on how fast they want to go in this hit.
30 seconds left.
Then he wins the close range duel with Rarkar. You've still got Poach on site, and that just doesn't stand a chance. Eppies goes wide with the swing. There's the shotgun, and oh man. That felt like that's perfect shotgun range. That's when the shotgun should work.
That felt like 2.06.
I mean, based on the way that just happened, that's when I feel like the shotgun should have value.
Yeah.
Point blank range makes perfect sense, but it just doesn't pan out. And it's looking like this map won't pan out well for BBG in the end. They looked great in map 1, at least in the first half. Version 1 started to fire back. Got it close, but ended up losing. Second map, BBG almost won. Look back at that second map now, and you're going, oh my god, they were so close. They were 1 round away from 2-0ing this and not even having to play split. And now they go to split, and it's clear that this was just not a map that plays to their strengths, as they're currently down 12-6, and they've surrendered site control again here to version 1. But as I say that, they get a couple of key kills, and they keep themselves in the game very much so.
Oh! Vanity's the last one to go, and that's going to be it. BBG is able to stay alive. I was going to say, glimpse of hope right now for BBG is that, yes, despite them having a low buy, they still had 4 ults. So getting that Seeker out right away from Rarkar, again, to get that information for this agent, for the team, for BBG, worked out in their favor. And it allowed for those judges and those Buckies, to get those picks. And now they still have 3 ults to work with. So a very crucial res that Critical could have. They have a showstopper from Will. Yes, hasn't connected too much, but you want to look at those impact frags. This could be the moment where they could start getting things done in their favor, and of course the lockdown for the retake. So let's see if it's going to work out. We've changed the pace for version 1. We're dashing across the site for Penny, and we're just trying to get map control that gets fully denied by Rarkar, already at 2 ult points away from another Seeker.
Oh, Poach in a great position to get a couple kills. Tries to port away, knowing that the threat is waiting right around the corner. Player 1 trying to jump up, but can't because that ice slowing down his vertical movement somehow. You know, I struggle to jump on ice too. I guess
if you're from Canada like me, I mean, it's pretty simple.
You guys wear cleats all the time though, because you're used to the ice so much you need to like dig your feet, and you've got like snowshoes on.
Oh, it's actually it grows out of my own feet.
Oh, you don't even wear shoes.
Yeah.
You've got like some sort of, like, you've got like nails growing out of the bottom of your feet. Interesting. You learn something new every day, chat.
This is a huge res that's going to come out, though. It's going to be a 2v2 that could still make it winnable, but the showstopper, I told you, we needed some impact showstoppers. There it is. You seal the deal, you get the round there for BBG, and that's good enough.
He knew exactly what was coming. As soon as he hears that res, he's like, there is no way in hell I am letting you get this res off. Pulls out the rocket and fires it right on target, perfectly placed. And even though he's struggling in comparison to what he's done in previous maps, that ult does keep BBG alive. If they allow that res, it's a 2-on-2. I mean, that's very much winnable for version 1, especially with the way we've seen them play in similar scenarios already throughout this third map and throughout the series as well. This game is not over yet. We were ready to write them off. It looked like the game was done. But BBG, again, has a lot of staying power. We saw this from them in that second map where they almost closed it out. There is a lot of fight in them, and they're keeping themselves alive. They're 4 rounds away from forcing overtime.
This is going to be a crucial fight right now, and Poach just takes it. That's going to be a big one. So the Lurk is already down. They could stack up towards this B heaven side. Again, Rarkar's in a great position to get this kill. Oh no, he gets the guiding light out in the open and it saves him. But his teammates fell behind him. He dies as well. Things are looking grim now for BBG. Critical has to come up huge. He's going to eat those pain shells. Only good for 1. And it might be over here, Buck.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult. Oh no! That's a huge peek. He actually runs through the ice and goes for it. The Killjoy ult as well keeps them pushed back just a bit. Now the ice is faded. Pure goes for a swing. That's a massive kill. It's now down to a 1v1, but it's Vanity who comes out on top. Version 1 take the series 2-1. The third map goes their way, and BBG is eliminated from the very first challengers here for stage 2.
But it was a challenge no matter what. I think this was a great series overall. Yes, it looked very one-sided in that second half, but you saw it, like I said, a glimmer of hope, and every single round, one ultimate brought it up there. It brought the hope back up for BBG. Showstopper into one round. Seekers into another round. That res into another round too. It was so close for them to try to bring this into overtime, but there was so many rounds that version 1 were up ahead. And you still got to give it for BBG though. They have had some great improvements actually ever since they brought in Poach and Rarkar. Get that upset against Sentinels to get this far too, where we haven't seen him at this stage yet. Like I said, beginning of 2021, it was going to be some great storylines for up-and-coming teams in that Tier 2 scene, and I'm hoping to see this continue on here for BBG after such a great run in Challengers 1.
They need time. I think they need time with this roster to continue to mesh, to continue to gel. They obviously have potentially high ceiling based on teams they defeated throughout their run in the qualifier, and sure, they don't find the success here that maybe players would like to see them get, fans of the game would like to see them get. But it's a respectable performance. I'd say their match against XSET was problematic and something we should definitely go back at and look, because that was the one that was very concerning to me personally. But here in this series against version 1, they look good. Now, version 1 also has some things they need to work on themselves, but there is a ton of potential, specifically looking at players like Penny and Zelsis. When Penny's feeling it and Zelsis is too, that's a scary duo. The 1-2 punch that they bring to the table, whether Penny's playing Jet or not, depending on the map, if he decides to switch to something else. Or, you know, you've got Zelsis playing Raze, or you've got Zelsis playing Reyna, or who knows, Phoenix. He's mixing it up with a variety of duelists. Zelsis can be very scary in that duelist role.
Yeah, you had one punch from Zelsis on Haven. The second punch came in from Penny on Split, and version 1 just got a knockdown onto BBG. So very well done there for that team. Overall, as they move forward here for version 1, it's not over yet. I think they still have some heavy opposition to go up against, because in the upper bracket, there's still some strong teams out there that are going to face off against version 1 later on throughout this weekend. But again, BBG, I think they put up a great fight. They put up a great series, and to make it this far, I got to tip my hat off to them. Even then, like, look at it. They still won in, like, the headshot percentage. Damage was still pretty decent. I mean, it's still 2,000, so it's still a lot when you're trying to distribute it through rounds. But at least the shots where they're able to not get caught off guard or whatnot came into their favor. I mean, you had a couple of rounds where, you know, Penny's coming in for 4K and catching people off guard before they're even able to get one shot out, even from a rifle. So version 1, again, they really had control of this map on the third one.
You know, when you look at that timeline at the bottom, it's rounds 9 through 15 that are the biggest problem. They gave version 1 way too much at the tail end of the first half, and then really way too much starting in that second half. They were already down 7-5, which again, not a bad attacking half. Down 7-5, that's solid. But they didn't get their foot in the door early with that pistol round, and then they lost the anti-eco, and then they lost the buy round, or they lost the force, and then the save, whatever the case was. They lost those rounds that should have been key for them. And that was inevitably a problem. Like, they really should have... I don't know what happened there.
Well, I think again, it all comes down to how version 1 is really controlling that A side to start things off on the attack, right? When you had player 1 throw those cyber cages, lurking 3 players, sometimes dashing the jet over from Penny on towards heaven, or just him by himself. They conditioned BBG very well there to try to fight back, or not really fight back towards the A-ramp side, right? We didn't see much aggression come back on their end. How many times did player 1 just throw those cyber cages and play around the orb? So no orb farming for BBG, no way to counteract, where maybe one single time Poach came out and finally got the kill because he was playing on the right side of heaven. But outside of that, they gave a lot of room to breathe for version 1 that didn't allow to get them much more map control. I didn't see much of BBG pushing or fighting back towards that B main. Mid side was it just felt very reactionary from the way that they were set up on defense for BBG.
Looking at this version 1 team, you know, what do you estimate currently as their ceiling? You've got obviously some skill, and you've got some history when you look at players like Effie's and Player 1, who come in from that old Gen G roster, formerly French Canadians. And then Zelsis and Vanity transitioning over from Counter-Strike as well. Obviously, everyone knows what they brought to the table. Zelsis is really one of the more surprising pieces of this roster and how well he's transitioned. But what is your opinion on the potential ceiling for this roster?
I think it's still pretty high right now, right? Like I said, we've seen that upset versus FaZe. Of course, it was off the back of Bucky's or whatnot. We'll have to see what's going to evolve later on, too. I mean, as we're going to have Vanity come on and talk with us for the Verizon interview, he's still going to be the type of person that's going to be studying around for the team and say, hey, look, can we actually bring a Viper into our lineups now? Can we bring that Astra into our lineup right now? So I think right now for version 1, it's like, hey, let's just work with what works for now with this setup that we have, and get that chemistry going with the slight agent changes that we had here and there for the team. And once you start building up these victories and you're comfortable with that, then you could start evolving into a deeper agent pool, right? Because for me, they haven't been around that long enough to be able to evolve yet, so there's still a lot to come.
Well, let's bring Vanity in so we can talk to the man himself. I'm kind of curious if we're going to get Vanity into cat ears. Do we get Vanity?
Of course we get Vanity into cat ears.
Of course we do. Perfect. We got to get the cat ears. I'm loving it. Vanity, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the big win.
Hi, thank you.
You're out of Red Bull.
I don't know, it's coffee, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Same thing, basically.
No,
Looking
definitely.
back at that series, you know, you guys had a really solid second map at first. BBG starts to come back. At what point did you start to get a little bit worried? Because it was starting to look like it was going to be
that game was in the bag. Let's just be real with ourselves. That game was in the bag.
Well,
these players haven't been here. Come on now, let's just be real.
Well, I want to go even further back too. Was that game versus FaZe to qualify here into the close qualifiers for Challengers 1? Was that in the bag too, or what was the secret sauce to be able to beat FaZe and upset them into the open qualifiers?
Well, I mean, we're probably one of the only teams that, prior to our match, we were one of the only teams that actually took maps off FaZe. So I mean, it's not like we went 2-1 with them last time. Both times we put them prior to this. Both times we choked really hard. And I mean, it didn't really happen this time. I mean, we tried to, like, trust me, we tried to choke that game really bad. But, I don't know. I think it's just getting more and more getting acclimated to the game. More so me and Penny than anyone else, because obviously the other ones, they've been around a fair amount longer than me and Penny. I think we're like 3 or 4 months in, and the rest of them are closer to like 8 months is on probably Jordan, 7-8 months, and the other two are obviously been playing since the game released. But I don't know.
How do you feel like your team is adjusting to the game in general? Like, you know, you obviously have a lot of talent coming over from CS. Some of them have been here way longer, looking specifically at Player One and Evies. But how do you guys feel like you're kind of shaping up and getting adjusted to the pace of Valorant?
I definitely think it's a lot faster than I was expecting. To be completely honest, I wasn't really sure how good we would be at first, like when we switched to this game. But I think with just how hard we work and like how many hours people put in individually, I think it makes the process a lot easier, I guess. I don't know like exactly to describe it, but like I think, and people wanting to play the game, I guess, because I think that's a big thing. Because like pretty much all of us play the game. Me, Zelsis, and Effie's play like 10 hours a day at least. The others probably a little less because Penny and PL1 don't really play ranked very much. But like us three and our coach are always watching or playing Valorant. I think that helps a lot with the transformation or acclimation period. Sorry.
Actually, how has the coach been on in terms of the addition, and how much has he brought over to the team so far? Because he just came back like what, 2 weeks ago into the roster?
No. Emmy's been with us the entire time. I've been with Emmy since I tried to trial the East Coast, whenever that was in the beginning of the year.
Okay. Sorry, I missed on what production was saying, so I'll let you take it here, Mark.
Last question before we let you go. This is the first time we've seen you guys play in Challengers. You've obviously been competing in the open qualifiers, but you're just falling short. Do you feel like you've actually like pushed past a barrier that's been like a mental stumbling block, or was there something else that was kind of getting in the way? Was it just like unfortunate matchups with the way that open qualifier brackets work?
No, I don't necessarily think it's like. Can you repeat that actually? Sorry, I blanked
Yeah,
out.
what I'm saying was it like a mental stumbling block making it out of the open qualifiers? Like, do you feel like you guys got in your own head because you were getting deep in the qualifiers, but not necessarily making it to the challenge point?
I'd say that a lot of it was just like me and Penny weren't used to the game, right? And then FaZe is one of the teams that plays Valorant as Valorant. They're not like, they don't play like any other team in this region, pretty much for the most part. I mean, Sentinels and FaZe have relatively similar play styles, but like FaZe is just, I don't know, dude. They're different. Those guys play. I think they're like the lack of, or because they come from Overwatch. So kind of when you play FaZe, it feels like they're playing like they respawn every life. So it's definitely different than playing like other teams, which I think was definitely weird because before first VCT, we got in the tier 1 scrim group, and I lost power because I live in Texas for like a week. So then we went into like the first VCT with no scrims against like relatively good teams. Like we were scrimming like, I don't even, like tier 2, tier 3 teams, which you can't really know if what's working because you're just better than the teams, right? And then like you get thrown into a BO3 against FaZe. It's like, okay, well, game's something different.
It's a toss.
But, yeah, no, I don't know. I think the biggest thing was just the acclimation period. Obviously, I think we're still going through it because I mean these people have like 8 months on me and Penny at this point. So I don't know. I just think we're putting in a lot of work though, and I think the progress we've made is pretty substantial.
Oh, it shows, man.
Compared to where I thought we would be at this time.
Yeah, I think that you guys have a tremendous ceiling, especially when you look at the individual skill that you have just collectively as a team. And then when you look at like what Zelsis is doing in server right now, you know, Jordan's popping off, and I have a feeling that is going to continue, and that'll be a big piece of your success moving forward, especially if Penny is feeling it alongside of him. We were saying it during the game. It's an incredible 1-2 punch, but we'll go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again on the win, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, brother.
All right. So, you know, looking at that roster, like he said, they're just getting used to the game still. The fact that they're able to do this and like they're still kind of getting acclimated. He mentioned it. You know, when you look at teams that there's teams that play Valorant for Valorant, and that's what he's saying. Like FaZe and Sentinels play Valorant for Valorant. They don't try to play it like it's CS. They don't try to play it like it's anything else. They try to play it for the game that it is, and that's what's making their runs so strong. And other teams are trying to play catch up. All the CS teams that came in first who were trying to play Valorant like Counter-Strike are now like, what is this?
They
I
have
don't
to catch up
understand.
now. Yeah.
Now they're left behind as this new playstyle takes hold. It's been pretty interesting to see, to say the least. We'll take a look at the bracket so we can see how things are going to shape up as we get ready to close out the day and prepare for tomorrow. Again, that last match does mean that unfortunately BBG is sent packing. We do have Immortals moving through in that lower bracket as well. 2-0 over Andbox. They've been knocked out. they're waiting to see who is going to lose in the semifinal matches to determine who they're going to be matching up against in those lowers games. You've got 100 Thieves against Cloud9 Blue in the upper semifinal, and then Xset versus Envy. Again, if you look at the teams in this bracket, it's kind of interesting, right? Because a lot of the teams that one would expect to see here didn't make it.
Yep.
The open qualifier this time around was an absolute bloodbath, a gauntlet, as a lot of the big teams were eliminated.
I mean, even if you just look at today's matches, I think the biggest surprise for a lot of these people and where it wrecked my pick'ems is Cloud9 Blue beating Immortals, right, in the first round.
Yeah, I didn't have that one.
Like, when that first map came in and it was like, what, a 13-3 or something for Immortals, everybody's like, lol, Cloud9 Blue, it's a fluke, whatever, and then they just won a 2-1 series, and now they're moving into the upper brackets to play against Immortals. So it's gonna be a fun one to watch tomorrow, moving into that one too. So I like the matches that we've already seen. It's been tough in the open qualifiers. It's tougher now in the close qualifiers.
Well, we do have the flick of the day presented by AimLab, and it goes back to before we were even on air, Vansili. It was JC Stanny earlier in the day with an incredible 4K against Cloud9. Again, this was in that series, and it's JC Stanny slicing and dicing as the Jet. A nice little 4-piece to give Immortals a round. I mean, when you saw the score here, one would anticipate a big win for Immortals over Cloud9, which is, like you said, what many people expected, especially based on what we've seen from Immortals more recently. But ultimately, they do lose that series, and they are down in the lower bracket, fighting in the trenches alongside Version 1. Both teams currently waiting for the semifinals tomorrow to figure out who they're going to be playing against.
Yeah, and it's going to be some great series tomorrow as well. But Cloud9 Blue, like I said, after that first map, and you're looking at the rest, I didn't get to catch it all, which I'll definitely have to do tonight. But they're that type of team that seems to finally have something that clicks out right now for Cloud9 Blue, right? Like, they were trying to figure out what the right roles were going to be. Is it Zeta going to be on a Jet? And now that Zeta plays what he was playing for Cloud9 Korea, going back into like an initiator role as Silva or as even the Sky, they've been looking pretty good with Mitch IGLing right now for the team. So everybody seems to have found their form. They found the right pieces, and they're gelling as a team. Top 5 team? Maybe not, but a team to potentially upset. I definitely did say that, and we saw that versus Immortals today.
Cloud9 ultimately is a work in progress, so finding the success that they're finding already is impressive, to say the least. That does close things out for us today, though. We will be back again tomorrow at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the upper semifinals first, and then those lower quarterfinals coming up shortly thereafter. Again, in the upper bracket, we've got 100 Thieves versus Cloud9 Blue, and we've got Xset versus Envy. And then in the lower brackets, Immortals is waiting alongside Version 1 to see who they're going to be facing off against. It'll be the losers from those games, and we will play all of those games tomorrow. We'll be live on both streams, Nerd Street Gamers and Nerd Street Gamers 2, and we hope to see you guys then. Take care.